Hey everyone, so today we are doing another foundation review. This is the final look that we achieved using the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Finish Foundation Stick. That is the foundation we are reviewing today. So if you'd like to see the claims of this foundation, to see how it wears and what I think of it, please keep on watching. Going to go ahead and start now doing the base. So the claims for this foundation is the Hourglass Vanish Seamless Foundation Stick with full coverage of a concealer, fluidity of a liquid, weightlessness of a powder, and a long-wearing waterproof formula for an undetectable full coverage. There are 32 shades. This is vegan. It's supposed to leave a natural finish. It's supposed to be good for all skin types and have a 12-hour coverage. So I am going to prime my face, and then we are going to do blending. Since it is a stick, I'm going to blend half my face with a brush and then half with a sponge, and then as usual we'll go from there and see how each side looks and which side I think looks better with which tool. Alright, so we're gonna take the sticks. Now I have the shade Shell. That is the shade that they sent me as a sample to try. Now these are samples that I'm trying, and both of them are in the shade Shell. I actually think this shade is a pretty good match for me. So if I do find that I like this foundation after trying the sample, then I will most likely go back and get the full size. But I'm really happy that they sent me this in a sample, because that way I can really give it a try and see if I like it and see how it wears today, and then go from there. So I'm just drawing it over my face, and this actually had a lot more in it than I thought. So I will probably be able to get a few uses out of it so I can really see how I feel, you know, after a couple of uses. I typically know how I'll like something after the first time wearing it, but it's always good to be able to try things with multiple different primers and, you know, different steps. That way you can really see how you feel about it. All right, so my right side is been blended out with a brush. Now we are going to blend out with a sponge. I definitely think I got better coverage using the brush. So I'm going to go back in with a little bit more and blend it out with the brush. So let's take a look up close and see how it looks on the skin. I think it gave some good coverage. It did a good job of covering. I do give it that so far. But I think it's a little bit cakey around here on my forehead, and it's looking a little cakey here on my nose. So let's see if we can try to fix that. Tapping it over with my sponge. I find if a foundation is looking a little bit cakey in some areas that I used a brush, I go over with the sponge, and that's typically why I do that anyway. You know, even if I use a brush, I still go over the last layer with a sponge very lightly to just kind of smooth everything out and to tame any cakiness. But I think the coverage is pretty good on the sides of my face. It's just in the center here that I just want to get a more smooth application. So just gonna tap my sponge over those areas. All right, so Now we're gonna move on to the rest of my base makeup. We're gonna do concealer, powder everything down. We're gonna finish off bronzer, blush, and highlight, and then we will be back and we will start our foundation check-ins. All right, so here's the final look. So for the rest of my base, I use the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer with the Covergirl Clean Fresh powder on top. All over the face, I used my Broken Physicians Formula Healthy Powder. For primer, I used the Revlon Prime Plus. I used my MAC Paint Pot. For my eye base, I use the Pure X Raw Beauty Kristi eyeshadow palette. For the brows, I use this Essence brow pencil. For lashes, I used the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise. For bronzer, blush, and highlight, I use the Hourglass Sculpture palette. To set my face, I use the Milani Make It Last. For my lips today, I use the Wet n Wild Lay Down the Mauves lip liner and the Fenty High Shine lipstick in the shade Cookies and Cocoa. So that is what is on my face on top of the Hourglass Vanish Stick foundation. So we're gonna take a look at the skin. So as I was applying the rest of my makeup, I was noticing still that little bit of cakiness. I was able to smooth it over, but you know, something to keep in mind as we're going through check-ins. There was some clinging around my lips. I have some dry spots around my lips, so sometimes I get clinging there to those dry patches. So I did have some of that on my lips, but overall I'm not really seeing any creasing. There's no creasing on my forehead, which is one of the spots that I really get a lot of creasing. And I think it does have a smooth finish on the skin. I think it's lightweight. I'm not, you know, it's not tacky. I think it did give, you know, a light, even layer. So definitely, so far, you know, it's not looking bad. I'm actually satisfied besides those two things. But because there was some cakiness, you know, in the initial stages of applying the foundation, you know, that is something I'm going to look for going forward, as well as if there's any more clinging, settling into the fine lines. So this is, again, the final look, and we are going to start with check-ins. All right, so I finished this makeup look around 10 o'clock, so that is going to be the start of our check-ins. So this is how it looks out here in natural lighting outside. I think it looks pretty good right now. Granted, this is not the first check-in. I just wanted to get a good look of the makeup as soon as I finished outside. All right, so we are at the 8-hour mark, and we're gonna zoom in and take a look here. So there is a little bit of creasing, but that's normal. It could be a lot worse, so that looks okay. I did go out earlier, and I had to wear a mask, obviously. And there was a little bit of transfer from that, but none from my sunglasses, which is a real feat for sure, because I always normally have transfer on my sunglasses from wearing them. There's a little bit wearing off here, a little bit of settling, and like we mentioned earlier with my oils coming through, it is caking up in that center again, but the sides still look pretty good. So for 8 hours, it really doesn't look too bad. I am definitely interested in trying this again, maybe with a matte primer underneath to see how it would wear with that. So 8 hours, here we are. I will check in maybe tomorrow and try this again, but using a matte primer underneath, and we can see how it wears. All right, so here we are, day 2. I used a different primer today with the foundation stick, so I had a lot more problems today than I did yesterday with the change in primer. I have a lot more transfer here, some wearing off where my sunglasses was, where my mask was. some settling and creasing in the fine lines, and my oils were not controlled as well as yesterday. So I'm gonna try one more time using a different primer, and we will just see how that goes. Now, this primer wasn't a matte primer, it was actually the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer, which I thought two Hourglass products together would work better than anything, considering they're both from the same company, and typically products that go with the same company typically tend to do better since they're both made to work together. But today I just found that didn't really happen. So we're gonna try with a matte primer tomorrow, and we will give an update then, and I will give a summary tomorrow at how I feel about this foundation with the different primers I tried and what I thought worked best. Hey everyone, so today I tried the Hourglass foundation stick again. Yesterday I tried it with the matte foundation and I didn't get a chance to check in. Today I tried it with a matte foundation. I mean a matte primer. Today I tried it with a hydrating primer. And I think so far I'm finding the same issue. It's just looking really cakey on my skin. No matter what I do, it's sitting on top of the skin instead of really blending in seamlessly. It did wear off from the mask. It wore off again on my chin. And like I said, it's just looking cakey and you can really see my texture. So for this foundation, I'm gonna say if you're willing to be a little bit finicky and work with it to make it work for your skin, then great. But for me, that's a little too much work. I want something that's gonna be easier and simpler and wear well and long throughout the day without showing cakiness, without showing lines and texture. So I hope you all learned something from these check-ins and from this video, and maybe this foundation will work for you. Everybody's skin is different, and that's definitely something to keep in mind. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you guys so much for checking out my video today. I hope you all enjoyed it and potentially found your new favorite foundation. If you liked this video, please, 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 I would love it if you liked and subscribed to this YouTube channel. Also, if you would like to see a tutorial on how I created this eyeshadow look today with the Pure X Raw Beauty Kristi eyeshadow palette, feel free to comment that down below and I will do that if enough people are interested in seeing that video. So again, thank you so much, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Bye.